Come go with me on an awesome ride where books and minds free. Come go with me on an awesome ride where books and minds free. Come go with me. Come go with me. Hi book friends, I'm Mr. Palomares, and this is Mr. Palomares' story time. So great to see you again. Our question of the day is, what kind of books can you find at the public library? Well, I don't remember what the answer to that question is. However, I do know someone who knows a lot about books and a lot about public libraries, and that is Read More. Let me see if I can find Read More. Read More? Oh, there's Read More. Read More, you do know a lot about public libraries and what books you find at the library, correct? Oh, he's so smart. Read More, you do know a lot about the books that you would find in the public library, right? Yes, so smart. Okay, I want you to think really hard, Read More. He's thinking. Read More? Okay, that's enough. Cheeseburger with french fries? A malt and a Diet Coke? Read More? I'm not so sure that that's what they have at the public library. Sometimes when Read More says silly things and talks about food, it means he needs a little rest, he needs to take a little nap. So Read More, time for your nap. Huh? Read More, time for your nap. Oh, I'm so sorry, he's being so naughty. He always does this when it's time for his nap. Excuse me for a second while I take him for his nap. Oh my goodness. It's crazy. He always gives me a hard time when it's time for his nap. And he puts his hair all over me. Well, we weren't able to find out the answer to our question about what kinds of books you find in the public library, but I think I know someone else who might be able to answer that question. Wait a minute, I think I heard something. Oh, it's the doorbell. Wonder who's coming. Oh, it's Miss Anna and Marquita ReadIt.
Hi, Mr. Palomares.
Hello, it's wonderful to see you, Miss Anna.
Thank you.
Well, we were asking a very important question, and that is, what kinds of books can you find at the public library? Marquita ReadIt, do you think you know what kinds of books there are?
Sí, yo sé. En la biblioteca puedes encontrar muchos libros de insectos.
Oh, wow. She's bilingual. She knows how to speak Spanish. But I'm afraid my Spanish is not very good. So, Miss Anna, can you help us understand what she said?
Sure. She's saying that at the library you can find a lot of books about insects.
Oh, wow. We can find books about insects.
Sí.
Oh, what are you doing? What do you mean, no? Of course there are books about insects. She said it. Time for a nap. Well, like she said, there are lots of... What is this sign in your mouth? Read More? It says, food books only? Well, there's only food books in the library? And what do you mean? Marquita ReadIt says there's bug books in the library. This is a very confusing question. I think we're going to take a little break and see if we can work it out and figure out exactly what kinds of books they have at the public library. I'm afraid we weren't able to come to a consensus, which means we weren't able to figure out whether it's bug books we have or food books we have at the public library. But I can tell you, I remember. Guess what? At the public library, there are books on all kinds of topics. You can find books for everyone. Whether you want books about food or about insects, astronauts, maybe you want a chapter book or a picture book. It's all there at the public library. We would love to see you at the Harris County Public Library where Miss Anna and me, Mr. Palomares, both work. We hope that you'll come and visit us and check out many amazing books. Oh, look, they're so sweet. They're getting along now. There's something for everyone at the public library. Until next time, happy reading.
Bye.
Hi, book friends. We hope that you will come and join us at the Lone Star College Cipher Library. There's Miss
Rolake.
Anna?
and Mr. Palomares at the library. Hope to see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
A Library Book for Bear, written by Bonnie Becker, illustrated by Katie McDonald Denton, and published by Candlewick Press. Bear had never been to the library. He had 7 very nice books at home. 3 about kings and queens, 3 about honeybees, and 1 about pickles. Bear was quite sure he had all the books he would ever need. One morning, Bear heard a tap, tap, tapping on his door. When he opened the door, there was Mouse, small and gray and bright-eyed. "We are off," exclaimed Mouse with a happy wag of his whiskers. Bear frowned. He had agreed to go with Mouse to the library, but now he was quite sure it was a dreadful mistake. "Completely unnecessary," Bear announced. "I have all the books I need right here." "Oh, there are many delightful books in the library," Mouse assured him. Bear grumbled, but he had promised. So he buckled up his red roller skates and stepped outside, grabbing a basket for the books. Bear skated, and Mouse rode in the basket to the library, the wind rippling nicely through their fur. But when they got to the library, Bear didn't like how big it looked. "There are far too many books in there," he protested. "Most excessive." "No, it's quite exciting," Mouse said, leading Bear through the tall doors. The library were more books than Bear had ever thought there could be. He quickly found a tucked-away corner, but even here, there were lots and lots of books. Terribly extravagant. Bear's voice was a little loud. "I shall find the perfect one," Mouse said quietly in his library voice. "One about pickles," commanded Bear. After all, he only had 1 of those. Mouse had whisked away. Mouse came back with a thick green book. Bear opened it. "Rocket ships? Ridiculous." Bear's voice was getting louder. "A good book about pickles is all I require." "Remember, quiet in the library," murmured Mouse as he scurried off. He soon returned with a tall yellow book. "I am not interested in wooden canoes." Bear's voice was even louder. "Quiet voices in the library," Mouse reminded him. "My voice is always quiet," Bear shouted. "I will find my own book. I can assure you the pickles are quite interesting." Mouse didn't look so sure, but Bear quickly spotted a blue book with a pickle on the spine, and Mouse sprang up the shelf to get it for him. Inside were pictures of pickles. The pickles had little fairy wings. They were dancing with petunias. "No dancing pickles!" Bear roared. "Shh!" said a voice. Bear peeked around a bookshelf. There sat a librarian with a cluster of youngsters gathered around her. The librarian smiled, but a mother squirrel squished an angry finger against her lips, and an old raccoon said sternly, "Quiet in the library."
Bear turned back with a huffy sniff. I know when I'm not wanted, he told Mouse. I want to go home. Surely at least one book, Mouse began. Bear cut him off. I have all the books I need. He looked quite certain. Then we are off, said Mouse, but his whiskers didn't wag this time. Bear stood stock still. He was listening carefully to a voice on the other side of the bookshelf. So the very brave bear began to inch his way toward the treasure chest, the voice was saying. I'm ready, began Mouse. Shh! Exclaimed Bear. It's just getting to the good part. But you said... Quiet voices in the library, Bear bellowed. This time, the librarian got up and looked around the bookshelf at Bear. Bear stood very still and quiet, as if he had been still and quiet all along. Would you like to join story time? The librarian asked. Bear glanced at Mouse. We'd love to have you, said the librarian. Bear and Mouse scooted around the shelf and found 2 empty chairs. The librarian began to read again. Bear lifted the lid to the treasure chest, and inside... The librarian paused. Mouse and Bear strained forward. Inside, she said, was a mound of pickle slices, and each shining slice was made of diamonds and gold, and everyone shouted, Hooray for the very brave bear! And then she said, The end. Bear stared dreamily into space for a moment. Then he looked over at Mouse and announced, As I said, pickles are most interesting. Indeed, said Mouse. Later, Mouse wrote in the basket with 7 new books. There were 2 about wooden canoes, 2 about rocket ships, 2 about teapots, and 1 called The Very Brave Bear and the Treasure of Pickle Island, which Bear read to Mouse that very same day. This month's book of the month is a poetry book, the classic Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein and published by HarperCollins. What would happen if you were Captain Hook and needed to pick your nose? Or were Sarah Cynthia Stalin and forgot to take the garbage out? Read surprising, funny, and wacky poems in this classic book, Where the Sidewalk Ends. Something to think about. What kind of books can you find in a public library? Stop by a public library and be amazed.